Okay, hi, good evening everyone. So this is our 12th and last problem solving session. We'll have a review session tomorrow. So yes. One important announcement. So the email has said that the review session will be from 12, I think 10 a.m. to 12. I have a meeting with my supervisor at 12, 10:30. We go until 12. So I'm shifting the session, revision session to 12 to 2. Okay, I'll announce it at the end of the class as well. So, okay, so let's start with the doubt you had last class. In this question, I interpreted it the wrong way. So you have these steels, and now you have to see which one will suffer intercalary corrosion when it's welded. So yeah, guys. I got confused in the last lesson, thinking like you're welding it first and then doing the heat treatment. It's the other way around. The steel is already heat treated and now you're welding it. So for the first one, it's a low carbon steel, so it's not susceptible to IGC, internal corrosion. So that's why it's incorrect. Second one, it has titanium, but since it has been taken up to 1200 degrees, the titanium carbide has been dissolved. So now your carbon is free and it's quenched. So there has there's no carbide formation. Now when you're welding it in the heat affected zone, this is okay. Your weld. This is your weld. There will be a heat affected zone here. And yeah, in this zone, now this zone will reach 450 degree to degree Celsius to 450 degrees Celsius, where chromium carbide will form. Okay, Cr23C6. Right. And yeah, so that will have interval corrosion at these points. Similarly for
I,
the C, yeah,
I have one query in this question. The 321 SS is stabilized stainless steel.
yeah.
Whether it will suffer IGC, whether there will be sensitization in case it is being welded, and even if we go with the option B and C, there is no mention upon the cooling rate uh, through which the sample is being cooled. So, if the cooling rate is not given, how can we determine, or how can we anticipate which sample will undergo IGC or sensitization and which will not go? Maybe the cooling rate is so fast
But
post weld that.
typically in welding, uh, there is a sensitization, like what the professor told, right? The class. So then it's like
What about the
more.
option two? Why 321 SS is not?
Oh, it's supposed to be, it should have titanium carbide, right? The titanium should stabilize it, right? So now you're going above 1200 degrees Celsius, so you're breaking down titanium carbide, dissolving it. And since you're quenching it, it won't form anything like titanium carbide or chromium carbide again.
But it is the post pre weld process. During the welding process, the sample will again be heated, and the heat affected zone will again go to a temperature of 1000 degree,
So
1200.
this zone may go up to 1000 degrees Celsius, but there will be
So
this
basically, when we
zone
are using a
further away.
stabilized stabilized SS, then there should not be any IGC. There can be knife line attack, but how can IGC be occur when the SS is stabilized?
But it's since you're doing this treatment, you're destroying the stabilization, right? That's what was happening in the IGC. Let me just pull up the slide. Uh, um, yeah. So in metal decay, infusion zone, you're this is just talking about stabilization. Stabilize the so yeah. Even in stabilized state, so why was a knife line attack happening? So at this area, it was initially going above 1200 degrees Celsius, and the titanium carbide was dissolving. Now they're solution treating the entire metal to taking it above at this temperature. So any benefit you had with the titanium, you destroyed it now, right? So if you want to again form the titanium carbide, you need to hold it at between that 850 above 850 and degree between the 1200 degrees. You need to hold it again at some time, so you give time for titanium carbide formation. But since you're quenching it, you're no longer forming those carbides, titanium carbide specifically, right?
No, but this figure is for actual welding process. The process of heat treatment is prior to welding. So maybe the
Yeah,
titanium carbide, or all the carbides might have been dissolved. But
yeah.
when we again weld, and after welding when the
Ah,
sample or the test
so
piece
now, okay,
cools
you're
down.
agreeing. So if we have destroyed all the carbide, and you say in this regions very close to the weld. Weld is maybe 1800 degrees Celsius, perhaps even higher or something like that. Here you'll have a region which will go up to maybe 1000 degrees Celsius. Here
No,
it'll cool down
the
slowly.
region of formation of titanium carbide, the temperature range is above the chromium carbide region. So
Yeah.
if we are cooling down the sample from say 800 degree or 700 degree or 1000 degree, then
Mm,
first initially the titanium carbide should form, and then
yes.
if all
Yeah.
carbon is consumed in that process, then why chromium carbide is being formed, so that IGC
So
is
that's
occurring.
what I'm saying. In the welded, this is 1800 degrees Celsius. This sample is at room temperature, right? This is at room temperature. It's further away from the weld zone. It's at room temperature. If you continuity होगी temperature में, right? This is at 1800. This is at room temperature 30 डिग्री सेल्सियस. यहाँ बीच में एक जोन आएगा जहाँ पे 450 डिग्री सेल्सियस 800 डिग्री सेल्सियस ये रेंज होगी. उस in उस region में you won't form titanium carbide. Instead you'll enter the chromium carbide forming region. तो वहाँ पे you'll have the uh, interdiamond corrosion. You're right. इस 1000 डिग्री सेल्सियस 1200 1000 डिग्री सेल्सियस दो इस टेम्परेचर तक जो गया है that will have titanium carbide and वो affect नहीं होगा. But further away से जो फ्यूजन जोन है विल ऑल्सो गेट ए रीजन वहाँ पे 450 डिग्री सेल्सियस 850 डिग्री सेल्सियस टेम्परेचर गया है तो वहाँ पे it'll yeah it'll be sensitive not sensitive yeah it'll be prone to IGC. Does it make yeah I think it makes sense. So ये था so I hope you're convinced now. Okay. See, so there's no stabilization or anything, so it will have.
In such type of question, what I feel should have more detailed information about the cooling rate. See, it's not clear. Answer can go anyways. It's not talking about the cooling rate. Maybe after welding, we are cooling it fast. And even if earlier I was not even sure whether this heat treatment is carried out before welding or after
Yeah,
welding
yeah,
operation.
that's what I
So
was
the
also got
clarity is
confused.
not there in the question. Means data should have been something that should be more clear.
But, so that's how the work has been divided. So I am supposed to do. So we apply for NPTEL course and we get selected for different jobs. So I got selected for the live sessions. There's another TA who's supposed to do all the form all the questions and handle all the questions on the forum, the question and answer form. I believe they are also from the same Professor Raja's group, so they might be more apt. Like she did know more about the still corrosion because they're working in that field of
No,
what
she
can
she
I
might
do.
she might be more aware. She's from the
Yeah,
team of
yeah.
professor, but we are beginners in this course. So
Ha,
if
ha,
the
ha.
question is not having sufficient information, now we can interpret it in either way. Even in the previous some assignments which we have discussed, the question
Mhm.
there was no clarity in some of the questions. See, the answer can go either way in that case.
Uh, yeah, you can raise the concerns with the NPTEL guys. There's nothing on my hand. I can just convey your things to NPTEL. That's him.
Okay, my request is that can we discuss the assignment which is due for submission today so that these sort of doubts
Yeah,
can
yeah,
be.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And you had also the doubt in the second. There's another question. Yeah. Uh, इसका भी I try to look for answer कि is there any data which compares maybe zinc and aluminum or other like which is more susceptible to de-alloying. Again, 20% carbon. I didn't find any papers which calculates the de-alloying or effects. So with the lack of data, you just have to go with the
See, my question,
electrochemical.
my doubt in this
Yeah, I
question was
know you're
aluminum
passive.
will
You're talking about
passivate or not. See,
aluminum might
chromium is
passivate.
passivating in case of SS. The chromium is
Ha
added
ha
and that
ha.
is passive, creating a passive layer. So similar thing will happen in this case also if you go by the logic which is used in SS.
Ha ha ha. So that's the thing. So there are two competing things, right? One is your electrochemical activity of aluminium, which is high, but it's passivating as well. So this is increasing corrosion, this is decreasing corrosion. So which one is more like if this one wins or this one wins, you have to go by experimental data, right? And I couldn't find anything. So
Have you asked course instructor Professor Raja sir on these problems?
uh, I mailed no, I didn't mail him for regarding this particular question. If you can, I can ask him. Uh,
So the discussion forum is totally silent. We are not receiving any response on that forum. I have mailed to
So
the professor also, but I haven't received any response on these three questions.
okay. And third one ka to again like online and the literature says beta phase. Where is the question? Like all literature says this is the trend for the hardness. Beta is most hardest and alpha plus beta. But what he said in the class is now what he said. I don't know if it's a mistake or whatever. But now again it comes to like the instructor whether he wants to correct this or do what he wants to give. Uh, इसमें तो I don't think I can do anything. So we can discuss the next assignment. Uh, so this shit is quite simple question. So stress corrosion cracking is due to so
So it is
बहुत
answer
बार
will be the none of the listed option.
yeah none of the listed options are tensile strain, tensile stress, uh, not listed. Sorry. Um, just for someone who watches the video later, I'll put up a slide. Verbally, he has said many times in the transcript you can find. But yeah, this is a condition that you need tensile stress. I think he also mentioned required. Okay, I can't find it, but yeah. That's simple. The straight answer. So, so which of the following metals are affected due to stress corrosion cracking? Oh, which are the properties of the metals are affected due to stress corrosion cracking? So, hmm, like here, this was a slide he was discussing how you can like quantify stress susceptibility for SCC. So you can measure any of these parameters. So this is change in the so here you are measuring the same parameter in air, and this is measuring in the corrosive environment. In corrosive environment, SCC will take place. So this will change that parameter. Okay. So here this is talking it will is changing the UT ultimate tensile strength, it will change the elongation or reduction in area. Like any of these parameters you can use. So ultimate tensile strength, elongation, fracture toughness, it will affect and crack growth rate. Yeah. I think it was like what we think.
What about the yield strength? Whether it will be affected or not?
It will be also. Yes. Yeah. Crack growth, so it is the main mechanism for SEC, right? Yeah, I don't think. But yeah, all these factors, like, all of them will affect. So be it none at all, it's only correct. So all of other will be correct. Okay. Which of the following lowers the stress corrosion cracking tendency of osmotic steel? Okay, it talks about osmotic steel temperature definitely. At above 50 degrees Celsius, it becomes susceptible. The temperature is very high. Residual stresses, yeah. If you're removing residual stresses, so maybe cold working, maybe you have introduced some stresses. So tensile, जहाँ भी tensile stress होगा temper में, it will be prone to SCC. So you can remove those. You can remove by heat treating the residual stresses. We'll do those. Uniform corrosion भी है correct answer. So what will happen in uniform corrosion? Your crack tip will be blunted, become blunt. So this critical crack formation stress intensity at the tip of the crack. So you have this parameter which is AI crack tip stress intensity. Yeah. So if you make the crack blunt, the stress intensity will decrease, so it will reduce stress corrosion cracking. So these should be correct. Increasing stress concentration, तो इसका उल्टा हो गया. Increasing stress concentration. Increase SEC. Sensitization again will increase corrosion. So, tendency for stress corrosion cracking increases. So this is talking about strain rate and its dependence. CC. So this was covered in hydrogen and brim. Actually, so here you have different strain rates.
अभी सर जैसे ये क्वेश्चन है ना, आप इसका ऑप्शन देखिए ना, इसमें मतलब क्लैरिटी नहीं आ रही है। जैसे आप टेंडेंसी फॉर स्ट्रेस
हाँ।
कोरोजन क्रैकिंग इंक्रीजेस, ऑप्शन डी से लिंक करेंगे तो इंक्रीजेस गोस थ्रू अ मिनिमम, फिर सी से
तो
लिंक
देयर
करेंगे
नथिंग इज
इंक्रीजेस
रेफर।
डिक्रीजेस।
हाँ वही, स्ट्रेन रेट की बात पता भी नहीं चलेगी, और वही इफ यू सी द अदर ऑप्शन देन यू गेट सम आइडिया कि स्ट्रेन रेट की बात चल रही है, तो you need to see the slides. Okay, so tendency for stress. So SEC में you see this plot. So reason was okay. If the strain rate is too low, so what is happening in, you have a passivating film on top, and as your strain rate is very slow, so any micro crack formed in the passivating film will be repassivated uh, repassivated before it becomes too large, right? So the rate of passivation is equal to the whatever fracturing is happening. So here it's not prone to SSC. At very high end, you are breaking it very fast, so uh, your like the plastic deformation जो हो रहा है metal में, due to the strain rate that itself is dominating. So SCC, it doesn't get time for the corrosion to take place. इस region में in between in between me there's a region where the salinity is sufficient enough that any crack formed is large enough and it doesn't get passivated fast enough, so here it becomes prone to SCC. That's why it goes to minimum. Whereas
इसका इसका ऑप्शन
हाँ,
सर क्या डी होगा फिर, फोर्थ
हाँ
पे?
डी होगा बस।
बट डी में अगर सर आप देखें ना, तो ये एससीसी मिनिमम नहीं जा रही है सर, ये तो डक्टिलिटी मिनिमम हो रही है, यहाँ पे एससीसी मैक्सिमम हो रहा है।
SCC corrosion मैक्सिमम हो रहा है यहाँ। ओके, टेंडेंसी goes through minimum. Tendency is going to maximum actually.
जो ग्राफ है सर वो डक्टिलिटी का है, मतलब यहाँ पे
हाँ,
डक्टिलिटी का मिनिमम आ रहा है, बट एससीसी का मैक्सिमम होगा ये।
yep, you're right. Increase in strain, ये तो नहीं है। अब वही कम। फिर तो आई गेस करेक्ट आंसर तो ये होना चाहिए, आई थिंक डिक्रीज इन द स्ट्रेन
सर
रेट
कोई फिर
पोटेंशियल।
नहीं होगा अगर ये देखा जाए, अगर आप हायर साइड जाएंगे इंक्रीज सबसे, मतलब इधर
हाँ
जाएंगे राइट
तब तो
साइड
यहाँ
में,
पे तो
तो वो भी नहीं होगा,
प्लास्टिक
सी भी
डेफोर्मेशन।
नहीं, कोई नहीं हो पाएगा फिर इसमें तो।
तो अब मेरे पास लास्ट ईयर के जो आंसर है उनमें डी है।
और सर मैं डी लगाऊंगा इसमें, सर
हाँ
मैं
डी
दिमाग
लगा रहा
लगाऊंगा ही
है।
नहीं।
हाँ ओके, आई गेस वही प्लॉट ये देख के जिसने भी क्वेश्चन फॉर्म किया होगा मिनिमा देखा होगा ओके।
सर ये मतलब मेरा रिक्वेस्ट है कि क्वेरी रेज कर दीजिएगा आप, क्योंकि पहले भी जो डिस्कशन एक दो क्वेश्चंस में हुए हैं ना, क्लैरिटी नहीं रहती ना, तो फिर हम इंटरप्रेट नहीं कर पाते उसको सही से, और थोड़ा टफ सब्जेक्ट भी, जैसे एससीसी थोड़ा सा टफ पार्ट है इस पूरे कोर्स का, तो अगर इसमें क्लैरिटी नहीं रहेगी तो अभी मैं तो गलत आंसर लगा देता इसका सर फिर।
हाँ ठीक है, एंड ऑफ माई, अगर आई गेट अ चांस टू रिव्यू ऐसा कुछ तो डेफिनेटली दे दूंगा। क्वेश्चंस बेटर फ्रेम करे गए। ओके, which of the following conditions increase susceptibility for alloys to SCC? Jeez, man. 3. It's talking about high strength aluminum alloy. So here you're aging time strength versus time. So this is your maximum peak. So peak aged stainless steel at this point. Time to failure is the least, so it's most susceptible. So this is correct. Or B is also correct. So FCC is prone to SCC, austenitic steel. Also correct. And third one, this is due to diffusion of. No, this is not diffusion. That's it.
सी में सर
Hydrogen
इन्वायरमेंट
diffusion.
लिख रखा है, किस इन्वायरमेंट में है ऑस्मेटिक?
हाँ, क्लोरीन. मेंशन करना चाहिए austenitic steel in Cl minus environment लिखना चाहिए. Yes, again, the answer there is B, C, D सही है. And B के लिए no stacking fault की बात थी. This location, yeah. So stacking fault energy decreases and necessity tendency increases. So B, C का again Cl minus ये तो better था. And potential versus. So if you have your equal potential at some point, and if you go to a positive side, there will be a region where you won't have SCC, but then if you go even beyond that, you'll enter the SCC region. So if you go to positive side, you go toward negative side and it fails faster. So time to fail is decreasing, moving to negative. So then it's hydrogen embrittlement. Okay. So since E core here is minus 0.56, and we are going to this some point over here, minus 0.86, and it's failing faster. So you're in this region, so it's hydrogen embrittlement. It's more it's prone to hydrogen embrittlement very high. So C should be right.
एम्ब्रिटलमेंट शायद छूट गया बीच से.
हाँ. Which of the following tests can reveal susceptibility or resistance of an alloy to SCC hydrogen cracking in bitumen? Okay. इसका slow strain rate test. So I guess if you do it at slow strain rate, ductility में फर्क आ रहा है तो you can distinguish कि which is hydrogen brittle and which is SCC. Constant strain test की बात decarborization. Next slide में तो microbial corrosion. Do you remember किसी slide में इन्होंने let the professor talk about
सर
different
स्लो
tests?
स्ट्रेन रेट, स्लो स्ट्रेन रेट तो मेरे को मिला है, लेकिन बाकी बी सी डी में कहीं लोकेट नहीं कर पाया सेशंस में।
अच्छा हाँ या मैंने भी स्लाइड्स देखे थे तो लेक्चर सुना तो कहीं मिला नहीं मुझे भी। तो मैं क्या
इसमें
कर
क्या ऑप्शन रहेगा
सकता
सर?
इन्होंने ABC सही बताया इन्होंने। अरे मैं कांस्टेंट स्ट्रेन टेस्ट और कांस्टेंट लोड टेस्ट में कहते हैं ये दोनों बात तो सेम होनी चाहिए। ये कांस्टेंट स्ट्रेन टेस्ट में जैसे जैसे क्रैक प्रोपोगेट होगा तो लोड डिक्रीज होता जाएगा। सेम बात तो नहीं है। चलो मैं आई लाइक लुक अप एंड कल के सेशन में डिस्कस कर लूंगा क्या क्या
सर अभी
टारगेट
ऑप्शन,
दिया है।
अभी अभी ऑप्शन क्या लगाए,
हाँ
ए बी सी लगाए?
ABC है नहीं ये ऐसा लास्ट ईयर यही था। बेसिक कंडीशन फॉर फैटिंग corrosion is fretting का so your interface has to be loaded the first one okay loading it is insufficient to cause slip थोड़ा बहुत there's slight amount of slipping which is happening like in this
इसका सर एक
like
स्लाइड और होगी, उस पे है ऑप्शंस, ये दे रखा है स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड।
अच्छा Hmm, okay, ये रहा basic requirement. The interface must be loaded. Vibration, repeated motion between the contact surface होना चाहिए and sufficient enough to cause a slip. Yeah. Yes.
बी होगा सर, बी इनसफिशिएंट है ऑप्शन।
Okay, okay, okay. हाँ नहीं 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 insufficient लिखा है sufficient है हाँ solution में भी इसी ही है इसी He's talking about fitting mechanism. Fitting mechanism point out the correct station. There are two mechanisms that are correct. So first is there's a wear first and then oxidation. So wear oxidation means when the surface is a microscopically rough. So whenever there is a relative movement, there's a initially there is a cold welding between the metal surfaces, and when you separate them, there's tiny fragments which break apart and they get oxidized. Yeah. So the first mechanism, second, oxidative wear. Where you have an oxide layer forming, so which is a passivating layer, and then due to uh, relative motion, your oxide film is getting damaged, and you're getting oxide particles. So both are correct. Okay. Okay, stress. Applied stress is not required for following type of failure. It's slow strain. How slow strain there, but there even other options are also correct. Coming back to the 10th question. So hydrogen embrittlement heat has right. Just talking about the difference between the different hydrogen mechanisms. In the first way, it's affecting the temperature. And this slide is comparing embrittlement and uh, blistering. What type of fracture happens? So, brittle fracture here, ductile here. Here's applied stress is needed. No applied stress is needed. Decarbonization again, you are removing carbon, but for failure to happen, you're reducing the strength, but for the failure to happen, you need uh, stress, applied stress. You can think of like hydrogen embrittlement here. There's a pocket of, oh, that was blistering. Embrittlement is like propagation of uh, crack edge. So any microscopic fracture is wait. Did I say
Brief will be the correct option for this question, or
नहीं B तो उल्टा हो गया. It is required hydrogen environment. It requires blistering में नहीं चाहिए. That's here. A में
डीकार्बोनेशन में भी नहीं चाहिए। अगर अगर हाइड्रोजन अंदर घुस रहा है और ग्रेन बाउंड्री पे मीथेन बना रहा है और उसके वजह से क्रैक
हाँ
हो रहा है, तो वहां पे भी नहीं चाहिए
ओके
होगा।
ओके 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 हाँ मीथेन बना. ये मेंशन नहीं किया है बट हाँ सिमिलर मैकेनिज्म हो गया दिस इसका और इसका. So there's a gas trap होगी between the grains or between in some pores which is causing stress development. Eventually will be great. See. और last question. So the following are correct. To be honest, मैंने ये lecture देखा नहीं है. I just started reading the last lecture है देखे.
सी एंड डी सही है ना इसका?
हाँ. इसी स्लाइड से कॉपी कर. उससे कैसे then produce sulfides under anaerobic conditions. Hmm. Protein rich polymer. Yeah, so protein rich polymer biofilm formation and production of sulfides in anaerobic conditions. CP. Anaerobic तो direct हो गया. एनारोबिक में सल्फर रिड्यूसिंग बैक्टीरिया, एरोबिक में है ये मॉइस्चराइजिंग, बस फॉर्मेशन होता है। Okay. Yeah. Announcement for the two of you as well. So the class it's just supposed to happen tomorrow. You've received a mail said there will be a live session tomorrow at 10, 10 to 12. It is being shifted to 12 p.m. to 2. I have some meeting at 10:30. So okay. Tomorrow I'll just go. I have some more questions. Exam pattern. So mostly it will be a pen and paper exam. So pen and paper exam तो लिखा हुआ ही है. It will be a pen and paper exam. And so here is a
Questions in the exam will be like the given in the assignment, or there will be some sort of different pattern will be there.
I hope I have this problem examples. I don't know whether they are the final exam के example problems है या but yeah, that's what I found last year's form.
So this was given in the week 3 or week 4 module in the week 4
अच्छा,
module. I think.
okay. फिर तो यार I would say prepare for the subjective type. Objective तो वैसे भी easy रहता है. Mostly if it's pen and paper, professor might go for subjective question. It's the last question, last course I took that had subjective type question. It was a pen and paper based question. Paper. Let me check this
ऑब्जेक्टिव
example.
रहेगा तो इंटरप्रेट करके लिखना इजी रहेगा, ऑब्जेक्टिव रहेगा और मल्टीपल चॉइस रहेगा और क्वेश्चन में क्लैरिटी नहीं समझ पाएंगे हम लोग, तो फिर वहां पे एरर
हाँ
के चांसेस ज्यादा होंगे.
या वो तो है. लास्ट ईयर का कंटेंट एक बार चेक कर लो. Did any of you ask on the Q&A form what type of whether the exam will be subjective or objective? एक
नो
बार
वन इज
वहाँ भी.
रिस्पॉन्डिंग ऑन दैट फोरम.
हाँ बट क्या पता एक दिन मन करे पीए का रिस्पॉन्ड करने का. तो अगर हो क्वेश्चन तो maybe.
लास्ट ईयर मैंने सर का ना कैथोडिक प्रोटेक्शन इंजीनियरिंग का एग्जाम दिया था, तो वो तो प्योर सब्जेक्टिव था, मतलब सब मतलब लिखने
ओके.
वाला ही था सारा.
फिर मोस्टली सब्जेक्टिव ही होगा, वैसे स्टाइल चेंज नहीं करते रहे बस। सब्जेक्टिव असाइनमेंट। लास्ट ईयर पे किसी ने नहीं पूछा था। तो मोस्टली सब्जेक्टिव ही होगा। टुमारो आई कुछ क्वेश्चंस जैसे कुछ ये हैं कुछ और। मोस्टली कैलकुलेशन ही है। आई थिंक लास्ट ईयर जो ये सब्जेक्टिव असाइनमेंट जिसके क्वेश्चन दिखा रहा हूँ, इट वाज रिलीज एट द एंड आफ्टर द वीक 12 कंटेंट। रीजन नहीं, मैंने ऐसा कुछ नहीं लिखा कि if it's like based on the actual examination like pattern या pattern। ओके, ठीक है। या कहीं लास्ट ईयर के कंटेंट। थैंक यू फॉर टर्निंग।